Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The subject of this discourse today is Rathavinita Sutta. It's a continuation. The first part of the sutta has been already discussed. That is, in the last two discourses we dealt with the nature of a saint, of an enlightened person, who having attained to spiritual freedom from the bondage of worldly existence, reflects the nature of the dimension of freedom, which means Nibbana. So last time we mentioned, last two discourses, where we mentioned about the Venerable Mantaniputta, Punya Mantaniputta, how he was literally the embodiment of an enlightened saint. And he became an exemplar of the path to spiritual deliverance. So today we'll be talking about the path itself. Now in Dhammapada, there is a verse, there are three verses actually about this, what we are now mentioning about path. By path is meant Vishuddhi Magga, the path of purification. Spiritual development and perfection is a process. It is a process of purification, which also means perfection. Purification and perfections are the two ways of describing what exactly happens with spiritual transformation. Now, by purification is meant that where you can't, you take away every dirt, so there is nothing left. You can't take anything out of it, out of something. In this case, the mind. And perfection means where you can't add anything. And both conceptually mean the same thing. You see, where you can't add anything because it is perfect. It is absolutely pure. It has attained the fulfillment, the consummation of its of the particular state in which it is. And perfection is where you can't add any more. It's complete. It's total development and perfection. So these two terms really mean the same thing, but for explaining how this, you see, when one attains Nibbana, which means a state of deliverance or freedom from all worldly, freedom from the sufferings of all worldly existence. Now this freedom also means the same. That is to say, you are free because you are perfect. You are free because you are pure, totally. So a person who attains enlightenment, who has attained Nibbana. Now, last time we explained about Nibbana in three different levels. So today we won't go into that. But it is the dimension of freedom which is unconditioned by anything. What do I mean by unconditioned? Everything in the world is conditioned. Everything that stands for worldly existence and suffering, that means subject to karma and its fruit, which is punarjanma. Now, in this life you are born due to your karma of the past. A karma has a potency, has a power, and that power brings about the perpetuation of existence. That is rebirth. And so long you are in a state of existence, and it is perpetuated by the process of rebirth, so long you are subject to rebirth, so long you are also subject to performing further karma. Because when you are reborn with a store of karma, so to say, with the mind carries. Mind is the carrier of the store of karma, karmic forces, or karmic potentials, or potency. So this potency manifests. The word potency by its very nature shows that something which has to manifest in some form. It is in a dormant form now as a potency, but it must come out, it must manifest. And that rebirth is the manifestation of a particular karma, karmic force. And having arrived in a particular plane of existence, thereafter you again keep on acquiring karma and accumulating karma by three means, by kayena, vacha, manasa, bodily, verbal, mental. Everything one does has a power. Everything one says has a power behind. Everything one thinks has a power behind. This must be clearly understood. And if the power is a negative power, it is devastating, it is destructive, it causes suffering of all kinds. If the power is constructive and wholesome, noble, then it means evolving further from a state to a further more refined state. It is a process of refinement and perfection. So you see, when you practice Sila, for instance, you are bringing about a kind of refinement of the mind. You are purifying the defilements or the impurities which are in the mind, which gets activated, it may remain in a dormant form, but that impurity gets activated and manifests in the form of an action. When that happens, when the mental action or thinking process is translated into bodily action or verbal or speech, that becomes even more serious. It carries a greater force, because it is now the potency has been manifested. So this goes on. Now, after being born, you keep on doing karma. Somehow or other, life is such that you are bound to get involved in some action from morning till night. Nobody remains just dumb doing nothing. The moment you get up, you wake up. From that time the mind gets activated and the process goes on. So, till the end of life, one keeps on doing. One is involved, either in good or in bad karma. That being so, it is something like a big tank, a water tank, where you have got an inlet and you have got also an outlet. From the inlet you put in, let's say the tank has lot of dirt in it, dirty water. So you keep on putting clean water. After a time, all that dirt thing inside the tank, there will be this kind of revolution going on. A great formative activity. Now, eventually, if the good water clean water is kept up without any bad dirty water coming in again, then the tank eventually gets completely cleaned up. All the bad water, the dirty water is out from the outlet, and once it is out from the tank, you see the tank is clean, and further you see the environment in the tank itself inside also is cleaned up. So once that happens, then the tank, this is just an analogy. So something of that kind happens in the mind, at the mental level, when one is engaged in Sila. So Sila, or the practice of virtue, by means of which manifests in the form of a virtuous conduct. One completely renounces voluntarily. Nobody tells him or her to do this or that, just by knowledge and vision. What is meant by knowledge and vision? See, when a person is conscious, that is, the vijnana khandha, it is called, you see, the consciousness, aggregate of consciousness, which is the most subtle part of our personality. Ultimately, you see, from the standpoint of ultimate truth, there is no such thing as man or woman, or an Indian or a Japanese. These are names given to identify a person. They are, you see, just some concepts are created by mind, and these concepts are translated into these naming and all that sort of thing. And the whole, the way we live is how we have organized our living mode, the mode of living. And to do that, we have to coin words and conceptualize those words and give, you see, a meaning to them. And then you begin to think that what you have invented in the form of a concept or a name and all that is real. That there is a thing called an Indian. But who is it, an Indian? The Venerable Nagasena, a great Arhat in the Peshawar area of modern Pakistan, he was there. That was a great Buddhist center, now completely the center of violence. Now there, he meets the Greek king Minandros, who is known as Milinda in Pali. That is a name given to him by our monks only. He was ruling in that area. He belonged to the Alexandrian, you see, group when they attacked India and so on. Now, he was asked, this Greek king was very extremely well known as a debater, not only a king but a debater. So in this work called Milinda Panna, the questions of King Milinda, some wonderful things are there about teachings of the Buddha. And one such is, when he invited the Venerable Arhat, he said actually he wanted to see him, but the Arhat was in a vihara there, so he had to go and see him there, the king. Instead of Arhat coming to him, he said, no, I change. I must respect him. So he goes there with all his paraphernalia of royal paraphernalia. And then he meets and he says, Venerable sir, By what name is the Venerable known? Well, they call me as Nagasena. What is Nagasena, Venerable Sir? Is it your nose, your eye, your tongue, your leg, your hand, your head, your body, or your mind, or what? Which is Nagasena? It's a good question. I'll give you an answer by way of a simile, and you answer, you find your answer there. He said, how did you come king here? How did you arrive here in this vihara? Oh, I came, you see, in a royal chariot, a royal vehicle, and with my, you see, group of ministers and officers and all these people, a whole retinue of people, a large retinue in fact. Then, oh, you came by that Ratha, that chariot. What is that Ratha? King immediately understood, my goodness, this is a brain, nobody can, you see, it's not easy to cow down such a brain. So let me be careful. He says, come on, answer. He said, well, yes, I came by this. It is, the Ratha is a combination of number of parts. There are the wheels, then the body of the vehicle, and so on, the different parts. All put together is called Ratha. So it's a name. Oh, so that's your name. And so when he said, the moment he gave this example, he said, sir, he bowed down like this, he said, sir, I have understood. It's a great thing. Thank you very much. Then he went on asking one after the other, all sorts of questions, very important questions indeed. So now, in this purification and all that I was telling you, and the example given of purification and perfection, they mean the same thing. In one, you can't take out anything out of it because there is no more dirt. So, last time we mentioned about the Venerable Mantaniputta. These monks from Kapilavattu, they came to Buddha, Viradagaha, and he says, who is that monk who is very famous and has a very great reputation of being very pure and noble and the very embodiment of spiritual life, or the Vishuddhi Magga, the path of purity. So he said, Venerable Sir, and then Buddha defined what he meant by the, the embodiment or the exemplar of the path. He said he must be being himself an extremely a person of little want, no want at all, and contented, and so on, a lover of seclusion rather than crowd and noise, and all 10 such attributes he put. Then these monks said, yes, there is one Bhante, and he is known as Punya Mantaniputta. So now, after hearing all that I have already explained in the last discourse, so we won't repeat those things anymore. But today, what happened next, that I am going to take up. So now, Venerable Sariputta was sitting in that meeting, in that discourse, and what the Bhagavan asked to these monks, and their reply, he says, what a lucky, what a wonderful, very, very fortunate monk indeed, that in the very presence of the Buddha, his brothers in holy life come and praise him and say, you see, point by point tell everything, all the attributes and so on. So, then after some time they went to Acharya Buddha and Sariputta Bhante both. There are these monks, Mantaniputta, about whom you see such a reputation had come to Rajagaha. So he appears. He wanted to see the Buddha, so he wanted to have the blessing, he came there. So a monk went and told, yes, you have been praising to Venerable Sariputta. He said, you have been praising him to the sky. All those 10 attributes you have been telling, and it's very wonderful because they reflect the nature of Nibbana. Nibbana is the ultimate state of perfection and purity and freedom. Freedom because there is no bondage. And bondage, there is no bondage because there is no impurity. Bondage comes from impurity. If your actions are impure, improper and wrong and ethically distorted and so on, then only you are liable to all kinds of blame and you have no freedom. Then you have remorse, you have sense of guilt, and your mind is all the time burdened by that and no freedom at all. But if you are free from all that, by practice of Sila you bring about a purification of the mind. And thereby you are bringing about perfection of the mind. What does it mean by perfection of the mind? Perfection of the